Zlatan Ibrahimovic is an undeniable icon of the world's game who, at 40 years old, has proved how longevity can be achieved at the highest level of sport. A career that spans 3 decades has seen him travel across Europe and even lend his talents to the American MLS. But when and where did he play his best football? Born in Malmo, he started his career brilliantly with his local side and attracted many European clubs, including Arsenal, but his skillful elegance on the ball suggested he may be a better fit for Holland. In a country where football is beautiful, the 20-year-old was able to shine under Ronald Koeman, demonstrating his ability as a goalscorer for Ajax. It was in August 2004 that the Swede's name became known to the whole of Europe after an amazing individual goal against NAC Breda.
Ibrahimovic. Goed ingehouden. En nu dan een keer schieten.
Journalists drew comparisons between he and Johan Cruyff, and it was voted the goal of the year by Eurosport viewers. As the standout for the Amsterdammers in the Champions League with 5 goals, Juventus signed the youngster for an expensive €18 million. By the end of his Dutch tenure, he had amassed 48 goals in 110 appearances, but Capello wanted Zlatan to prove himself as a marksman in a more difficult defensive division. Sharing the offensive line with Alessandro Del Piero and David Trezeguet helped the youngster further understand the role of the centre-forward. In his first year, he racked up 16 league goals and was named Serie A Foreign Footballer of the Year, as the Bianconeri won the Scudetto. His second season in Italy was personally disappointing, as he was moved by Capello from a central to wide role, which affected his numbers, provoking fan criticism. Though Juve were able to retain the title in 2006, their involvement in Calciopoli prompted the Italian Football Federation to demote the champions. Zlatan's infamous agent Mino Raiola helped force the old lady to free the Swede from his contract so that he could avoid second division football and move on to Milan. Inter saw him back to his best, lighting up the league in the Nerazzurri shirt. Leading Mancini's line with Hernan Crespo, Ibrahimovic plundered 15 goals and was a key figure in Inter's 15th Scudetto, which they claimed with a record 97 points. Into his second year in Milan, he became the focal point of the side's attack, expected to score week in, week out, and rescue the side when needed. Quickly, he matched expectations, scoring 22 in all competitions, including a May brace versus Parma to clinch a second consecutive league title. Named Serie A Footballer of the Year, he also signed a contract deal to become the world's highest paid footballer during the 2007-08 season, declaring his superstar status in Europe. A managerial change at the start of his third year could have hurt the 27-year-old, but instead he continued to thrive under Jose Mourinho, who labelled Zlatan his main man. Motivated by the Portuguese coach, he went on to have his most prolific domestic season yet, with 25 goals and 7 assists, including the Serie A Goal of the Year in October. Another Scudetto was brought to Inter's cabinet, but European glory still eluded the Swedish marksman, and on a Champions League hunt, he transferred to Barcelona in exchange for Samuel Eto'o. Though Ibra arrived in Catalonia to much fanfare, he struggled to enjoy himself. The Spanish style of football was very different to what he had become accustomed to in Italy, and Zlatan wasn't the star of the show. After a positive start, he was shifted out wide when Messi requested to be played centrally, and Zlatan was no longer given the freedom he desired. Despite this, he still accumulated 21 goals from 35 matches and collected 4 trophies including La Liga. A thigh injury and calf strain also hindered his chances of game time in a competitive squad, and ultimately he never really got going with Barcelona. Many would blame his failure on Pep Guardiola, with whom Zlatan regularly clashed, and the striker has since publicly berated his spinelessness. A changing room argument following their semi-final defeat to eventual champions Inter signalled the inevitable divorce between Ibra and Barcelona, leading to the Swedes' return to Milan. This time a Rossonero, Zlatan was back in Italy as the marquee name, alongside a myriad of young, future star attackers. Massimiliano Allegri had constructed a team with a rich blend of both experienced and young players, which worked a treat in his debut year with the club. Goals were generously shared across the team, which helped Milan scale the table, and Ibra was at the centre of their success as the top scorer for the Rossoneri. He was also more productive than ever before, giving 11 assists, and by May they had edged out their cross-city rivals by 6 points, and the Swede collected his 6th Italian title. The striker's 2011-12 campaign was perhaps his most fruitful season yet, amassing 28 goals in 32 games, the most in the country, and he was awarded the 2012 Golden Foot. The number 11 carried Allegri's team all year, outscoring all by over 20 goals, but Milan still failed to secure back-to-back Scudetti, and Juventus started their 9-season run of domestic dominance. Zlatan's outstanding form triggered a bid from Paris Saint-Germain, who he joined in the summer of 2012. PSG are by far the wealthiest club in France, and at the time, no other Ligue 1 side could compare to them in quality, making the Parisians almost shoo-ins for the title. As their most advanced player, he was, like at Milan, the target man, a role that suited him nicely, and in his first French year, he astounded all with 40 goal contributions from 34 league matches, the highest tally in the whole division. As expected, Les Rouges et Bleus lifted their 3rd Ligue 1 title, and first since 1994, but Zlatan collected most of the praise that season. Voted Player of the Year by the UNFP, he was not only a reliable marksman, but a scorer of marvellous goals. Long shots, headers, flicks, one-on-ones, he was the complete striker, from his skills to his positioning to his finishing. During his 2nd campaign, things only got better. He netted Ligue 1's goal of the season in October, prior to 4 days later burying 4 in the Champions League against RSC Anderlecht. For the first time in his career, he was included in FIFA's Pro World 11, recognised as the best centre-forward in 2013. In March, Ibra's brace broke Carlos Bianchi's club record of 39 goals in a campaign, and again he was named Player of the Year for a 2nd consecutive season. In all, he had an amazing year, converting 41 goals along with 17 assists in just 46 games. 2015-16 was Zlatan's most lethal season ever, finding the back of the net 50 times from 51 matches, becoming PSG's top scorer in a single Ligue 1 season. Having secured a 5th successive league title in the French capital, interest from his former coach had been sparked, and Ibra signed for Mourinho's Manchester United in 2016. Though still regarded as a top-class forward, the 34-year-old was seen by many as past his prime, but the Swede proved himself in yet another country, widely considered the most challenging league. Typically, his timing and movement was that of an experienced striker, while his finishing was reliable as ever. Zlatan concluded his debut English year with 17 top-flight goals, becoming the oldest player to score at least 15 goals in a single Premier League season. United, however, were less successful in the division overall, finishing 6th in the table, yet Zlatan's consistent goal-scoring throughout the year helped them collect 3 pieces of silverware: the Europa League, Community Shield and League Cup. Sadly, in April, he sustained serious ligament damage in his right knee, leaving him sidelined for the final month, and his 2017-18 season was his final spell in England. A step down followed to the American MLS, in which he featured for LA Galaxy. Admittedly the lowest level of football he had played since his youth, Zlatan immediately lit up US soccer with regular and glorious goals, especially his acrobatic strike that was voted for the 2019 FIFA Puskás Award. By the conclusion of his American stint, he had bagged 56 goals in only 52 fixtures, and he made a winter return in 2019 to AC Milan, where he still plays as of 2022. At this time, the Rossoneri had endured a decade-long spell out of the Champions League and hadn't won the Scudetto since 2011. Thus, Milanistas around the globe were growing ever frustrated. Zlatan came back as a club hero who could help the younger talents find their footing, as well as getting on the scoresheet himself, which he did 10 times in the second half of their season. With Stefano Pioli at the helm, Ibra was and still is an inspiration for the sleeping giant, slotting away 15 goals from 19 games as the side's top scorer. Due to injuries, he hasn't been fit to play as much as he would like, but supports from the sidelines and works hard in training to keep the youthful squad in high spirits. The 40-year-old guided Milan to second place in 2021, guaranteeing them a UCL spot and re-raising the profile of the club. Able to sign better players and develop their team, Milan continued to push for the Scudetto in 2022, undoubtedly in part due to Zlatan's homecoming. The prime of the self-titled Lion is debatable for sure, as one could argue he was at his best at any point from 2006 to 2016. Though promising at Malmo and Juventus, the young striker's game was incomplete, with much to learn, whereas in England and America he was well into his 30s and past his best. At Barcelona he was in his prime years, but in terms of stats he could have been far better. With Inter he was still in his 20s, at an age when most players peak, and he was hugely successful under both Mancini and Mourinho. Yet, with AC Milan and PSG from 2011 to 2016, Ibra was at his best. Slightly older, he was a wiser striker whose off-the-ball movement, strength and dribbling elevated the Swede to one of the best in the world's game. In both Paris and Milan, he was the talismanic figure and key attacking star, and with this reputation, he prospered. Known for his ego, Ibra needs to be the most important player, and when this is the case, particularly with PSG and the Swedish national team, he performs. A living legend of football, he has generally been the standout wherever he plays, but considering his personal accolades and record-breaking seasons in Paris, with a Ligue 1 goals per game ratio of 1.23 in 2016, it's fair to say that Zlatan was at the peak of his powers during his time at PSG.
Incredible Zlatan Ibrahimovic! World